He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Wednesday evening that finds the Jaguars back out on the field for another OTA. We are inside of 24 hours away from the latest edition of The Hunt being released on Jaguars.com. I know that's the one that a lot of people are looking forward to, kind of the inner workings of the Travis Hunter trade. I saw the Jaguars are going to release that on their team website tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So we will certainly talk a lot about the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will talk about the Florida Gators tonight. Not only Alex Condon returning to the basketball team, but the Lady Gator softball team in Oklahoma City tomorrow begins their opportunity for a College World Series, and Gator baseball on Friday in the Coastal Carolina Regional as they take on East Carolina Friday at noon. So there is a lot going on with Florida Gator athletics. Our AFC North preview continues, one division per week up until the Jaguars start training camp. This week it's all about the AFC North. Last night we were in Pittsburgh. Tomorrow night, we will go to both Baltimore and Cleveland. That means tonight, it's all about the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Of course, Jacksonville will see Cincinnati in week 2 here in 2025. My guy up in Cincinnati is Jay Morrison of BengalsTalk.com. That's a part of Sports Illustrated. So he will join us to talk a little Cincinnati Bengals offseason later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Also, Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch. Love talking ball with Cody, not just Travis Hunter in the draft class, but the overall roster here in Jacksonville. Cody does a great job with RosterWatch.com, and we will talk about the Jaguars' very, very active offseason coming up here in just a bit. Also, Oklahoma City and Minnesota. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. We'll see if Oklahoma City can close it out tonight. Indiana's up 3-1 on New York in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 5 of that series will be tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. But because both teams are up 3-1, very, very rarely, it has happened, but very rarely do teams come back down 3-1 in a best of 7. It certainly looks like it's going to be Oklahoma City and Indiana. As an NBA diehard like myself, I'm fired up. If that's the outcome, I imagine the NBA is probably not fired up to have Oklahoma City and Indianapolis as their markets in the finals. It'll be curious to see what the ratings are, but nevertheless, a guy like me that loves the association, if it does turn out to be Thunder and Pacers, man, I'm all in. I'll absolutely eat that up. Cannot wait for it. So we'll certainly spend some time on that as well. Also, the Florida Panthers try once again to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They are 1 win away. They lead Carolina 3-1 with Game 5 tonight in the NHL Eastern Conference Finals. So there's a lot to do. We're glad you're with us up until 10 o'clock right here on Hacker After Dark. Every night here on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night, and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So, just like I have many guests on my program, sometimes out-of-market radio stations, podcasts, etc., have us on to talk Jaguars. I go on pretty regularly with my guys in Kansas City. I go on pretty regularly with my guys in Louisville, Buffalo, which is where I went on today. There's a few other ones. Mobile, Alabama. Go on pretty regularly with them. Jackson, Mississippi, a handful. And usually it's Jacksonville Jaguar conversation. which is what it was today up with my guys in WGR in Buffalo, the radio home of the Buffalo Bills. But we weren't talking Buffalo. They wanted me on to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm not just singling them out because they're good guys, but I've been asked this by numerous radio stations over the past, 3 or 4 months of this offseason. Inevitably I'll get the how awful was it with Trent Baalke question. Inevitably I'll get the Liam Cohen soap opera question. James Gladstone's 34, that question. Travis Hunter now is obviously top of mind. But at some point in the conversation that I've noticed with these numerous radio stations over the last, let's say, 90 days, at some point in some verbiage, but it all basically means the same thing, it will be asked to me, is this a make it or break it year for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville? And I understand the question because if I'm an outsider looking in, I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence entering year number 5, right? $275 million last offseason. Obviously did not have a great 2024 campaign, even when he was healthy. Then the injuries accumulated, and last year was a flipping disaster. Not all Trevor's fault, but it was not good. But I don't see this year as a, quote, make it or break it year for Trevor Lawrence. Now, if he goes out there and if he is just absolutely putrid, Jamarcus Russell level bad, well then, yeah, of course, maybe at that point there's a different conversation to be had. But if Trevor goes out there and does what he's done the last couple of years, which hasn't been good, but it's been far from horrible, I still think he's going to be the guy here in 2026. First year under Liam Cohen, first year with the new coaching staff, first year having Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter as a duo at wide receiver. I personally think Trevor is going to have his best year as a Jaguar. Right now, that best year was 2022. I think Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, will surpass this year what he did in 2022. But unless it's just a catastrophe, a football catastrophe of historic Jaguar proportions, I don't think it's a, quote, make it or break it year for Trevor Lawrence. Now, if he's bad in 2025, I think next year in 2026, you might begin to have that conversation. If he underperforms in 2025, well then, yeah. 12 months from now, there may be some dialogue about 2026 potentially being a make it or break it year, heading into year 6 of his career. But for the here and now, Trevor's locked in as the starter for an absolute minimum of the next 2 years, and that would be a minimum only if he is bad the next 2 years. I don't think he's going to be bad. I think he's going to have the best year of his career in 2025. That's my expectation. And that's why I think all this make it or break it talk about Trevor nationally that I'm getting anyway will come to a pretty abrupt end once the season gets here. But when I was asked that question? I was asked that question today after 3 Travis Hunter questions. Is Travis Hunter the face of the Jaguar franchise? Is the guy that's been here for just over a month the guy people are going to refer to now when talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't know. I think that's an interesting conversation. I still think it's Trevor Lawrence. When you're a former number 1 overall pick, you signed a huge contract, you better be the face of the franchise. If you're not, there's probably an issue there. And maybe the Travis Hunter stuff will wear off. But I got to tell you, man, whenever I do these out-of-market interviews, I am usually asked minimum 2, usually 3 questions or so about Travis Hunter before I get anything on Trevor Lawrence. Just interesting. It's the month of May. Obviously, they drafted Hunter 5 weeks ago. It's new. It's exciting. again, when training camp comes, when the preseason comes, and certainly when the regular season comes, the Trevor Lawrence dialogue will pick up, and I firmly believe he is still the face of the franchise. I'm just telling you that when I do these interviews outside of Jacksonville, without exception, for the last 5 weeks, I get more Travis Hunter stuff thrown at me than I do Trevor Lawrence stuff, for what it's worth. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe you find it interesting. That's why I'm here, to give it to you, the hardworking men and women of Northeast Florida. You do with that what you see fit. Might be an interesting poll question. Face of the franchise right now, May 28th, 2025. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter. Maybe we'll put that up on Twitter here in just a little bit. It is a very, very busy show tonight. Coming up in about 25 minutes or so, we will go to Gainesville. My buddy Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. We'll talk about Alex Condon returning to Florida. We'll talk about the sensational job Todd Golden did this offseason. We'll talk a little Lady Gator softball as their World Series gets underway tomorrow. We'll talk a little Gator baseball as their NCAA tournament gets underway on Friday. But coming up next, we'll stick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. An amazing offseason. Huge roster turnover. Cody Carpentier is with Roster Watch. Cody does a terrific job, not only covering the draft, but analyzing NFL rosters, hence Roster Watch. What did he make of what James Gladstone and Liam Cohen did here, their first offseason in charge of the Jacksonville Jaguars? We'll go through the entire roster with Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch. That comes up next on a Wednesday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguar football starts here.
Hey, we got a good win today, man. All I want to hear is Duval!
1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
You can help Micah's Place support domestic violence victims by playing in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament June 20th at the stunning Golf Club of Amelia Island. Register at micahsplace.org/golf.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You have healing power. Even writing a letter or volunteering can help heal a veteran. Find out more at healvets.org.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJax.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power Charge that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. The 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers, plus taxless fees and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us, plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Chargers sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Put some gusto in your golf game with Dan, Jeff, and the PGA Pros on Brunch with the Tour. Teed up by Clearwater Irrigation and Apex Roofing and Contracting. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash, and they're ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. And gold market prices are at a record high. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
Hi, folks. It's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee & Kate's Glass. Those beautiful custom glass shower enclosures, maybe a new mirror, a glass tabletop. They can even replace your foggy or cracked glass without having to replace the whole window. Lee & Kate's is local. They're family-owned. They've been a part of our community since 1926. Boy, they've taken care of me, including our brand-new offices at Walk-Off Charities. They did a great job. I promise they'll do the same for you. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece. Premium flooring, take our advice. Home business, affordable price. Driveways, pool decks, garage doors, beautiful patios, and more to explore. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. OTA is going on again this week and next week for the Jaguars. Then they will have a mandatory veteran minicamp, and then they'll take about 5 or so weeks off before training camp commences towards the end of July. Cody Carpentier is one of my favorites to talk about NFL rosters with. He is part of Roster Watch, and Cody's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Cody, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Ryan, man. I appreciate you having me on as always. I think the last time we talked pre-draft and discussing the idea of Travis Hunter, maybe Ashton Jeanty. Obviously, the Jeanty thing didn't end up coming true, but you guys got Travis Hunter moving up for him. That was an incredible night to look back on.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and look back on it right now with you. And I know you've done or did so many mock drafts, so many shows nationally. You're an NFL draft guy, which is why we love having you on. What was your take on the trade and the result that Travis Hunter is now a Jacksonville Jaguar?
It's so weird because, like, the night that it happened, right, it was kind of rumored that there was potentially something was going to happen all the way that day on draft night, and then all of a sudden it's that. It's not that we assumed that it was going to be Jaguars move up for Hunter, because it had seemed by things that Andrew Berry said with the Cleveland Browns that they were pretty much all in. But the one thing on Travis Hunter. But the one thing we do know with Andrew Berry, he's got an incredible poker face to the general public, and nobody can really ever pick up on what he's going to do. So I think it just felt like, oh, this is obvious. They're just going to take Travis Hunter. It's done. And I think it's a massive play by Gladstone as like his first really big move as a general manager to come in, make this play. Obviously, everybody saw the press conferences and the meeting of these two guys and Liam Cohen when they came together. Like, I think this is generally it wouldn't be a cornerstone piece to go out there and get a receiver or a DB. Generally, that cornerstone piece, of course, is a quarterback, but you already got a quarterback. It's interesting. If they really allow Hunter to be Travis Hunter, this thing could be truly special, and I truly believe he has the abilities to do it. And it feels like this is going to be one of the rare situations where they'll allow him to do it. So I love it.
I want to get back to Travis Hunter in a moment, but you mentioned James Gladstone. You've covered the league for a while, Cody. What does it say about a 34-year-old general manager that literally his first shot at bat as a GM in the NFL, he does what he does in the move up to get Travis Hunter?
Well, I think it shows a incredible, maybe a slight shift, slow shift towards this younger generation, this analysis-driven generation of, again, like you said, he's in his 30s. Like, when you think of general manager, usually you think of the guys that are in their 50s and their 60s. They're well-seasoned around the league. But Gladstone, he had been in the Rams organization since 2016. Like, he came up all the way through in one of the best organizations that you can, learning under McVay, learning under Les Snead, learning under all these guys that have done it so well, both, F the picks and completely drafting only, like draft players, and succeed both ways. And so he's seen it all. He's dealt with big contracts, trading for Jalen Ramsey, signing Aaron Donald, all these different things he got to kind of watch happen in Los Angeles. It kind of feels like he got a speed training on how to be a GM in, 8 years rather than just being around the league for 30 years, hopping around different teams and stuff like this. I thought it was incredibly interesting. I know we talked post-combine pre-draft, but that was the first time I had seen him was at the NFL Combine. I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know. Like, I got some Mike McDaniel vibes. I know it's a general manager versus a coach, but it was interesting. And as you start listening to him talk and you start to hear his theories and his ideas and his planning, you're like, oh, this guy's like next level smart. And he's not just, a friend of somebody getting the job. This is, like I said a second ago, he picked up on everything he learned, and it's pretty obvious in Los Angeles.
Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch joining us here on 1010XL in the city of Jacksonville. All right, Cody, Travis Hunter looks like primary wide receiver, working him in as well at DB. Let's begin at the wide receiver spot. How will he work with a Brian Thomas Jr., a Dyami Brown? What's your thought on the Jaguar wide receiver group?
The Dyami thing is interesting to me because he's sort of, and don't take this the wrong way, but a year ago when we watched Brian Thomas come out, he was a guy that was a little underdeveloped as a route runner. We knew he had this one trick, and this crazy one trick was that he could just beat anybody over the top, kind of like a pseudo Randy Moss situation where you just throw the hand up, he's going to beat you, you can't catch him. And that was the thing, and he did it, and obviously the rest is history. Brian Thomas has had a great rookie year, and he's going to be great going forward. But the dynamic of Dyami Brown, which that was also pretty much his trait coming out of North Carolina, was that he could catch the deep ball, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdown type of a situation in college. They go out, sign him. I thought that was interesting because it feels like Dyami should sort of be the guy behind Brian Thomas. Obviously, we see Gabe Davis depart in the last couple of weeks, and now Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter feels like he should be the guy in this situation, this receiver room, that should be like the route wizard. And he should be the guy that's working predominantly underneath, working out of the slot, doing all these different things. But the thing is with Travis Hunter, I think his route tree is more expansive than that. I think we can believe that he can do much more than that. I remember being down at camp, and when I saw you last fall, and Christian Kirk wasn't practicing, and a lot of throws were going to Gabe Davis on these short crossers, these middle crossers, the slants, all these different things that were across the middle of the field. And I just wonder who fulfills that role, because that's not a Dyami role. And unless Brian Thomas has taken, a step or two steps forward as a route runner, that's not really his role either. And so I think that's probably Travis Hunter, unless we see some sort of Parker Washington situation. But regardless, I think this is a very underrated, to me, set of 4 wide receivers because I lump Parker Washington in there.
From a defensive back standpoint, we don't know how much Travis Hunter is going to factor in. Is it going to be, 15 snaps a game, 25 snaps a game? I don't think anybody really knows yet. But Jarian Jones, obviously Tyson Campbell. They went out and got Jordan Lewis. They've said a lot of positive things about Monteric Brown. Anthony Campanile, the DC, kind of talked about him earlier this week, that he likes what Monteric Brown is doing. How do you see Travis Hunter working into the rest of the secondary at the cornerback position?
Here's the thing, like a year ago, and this was a big thing coming into the draft, was like, they really need to look at corner. And at one point it was Will Johnson. That was the conversation. And the reason was, as you know, nobody in this defensive back room had better than a 70 overall coverage grade on PFF. Nobody was even in the ballpark. They were all in like the mid to low 60s, and they needed help. Like you said, they go out, they get help. And I think what this is going to do is it's going to allow flexibility, which is, like you said, they like Monteric Brown. They go get Travis Hunter. They go get Jordan Lewis. You get multiple pieces in there. And I kind of format this to kind of a college point of view, where college, you don't just have like 2 dogs and like a guy that can probably play any given play, right? In college, you have 6 dudes that could probably play around the same level and a couple of dudes that are probably looking to take the next step. And in this cornerback room, you have a couple of dudes that have played, right? Jarian Jones has been there for a year. Tyson Campbell's been there for 3. Monteric Jones has been there for a couple. He was a 7th-round pick. Travis Hunter's a rookie. Jordan Lewis comes over from Dallas. You have a number of guys, even all the way down to college free agents like Jabbar Muhammad. Yes, he's undersized, but this is a guy that played at Washington in the college semifinals. This is a guy that played at Oregon this last year. Cameron Silman-Craig a lot of people looked at him as a good defensive back, playing cornerback, opposite of Travis Hunter at Colorado. A lot of different guys that can play ball here. I think it's going to be an interesting fall camp. And it's not going to put a lot of pressure on Travis Hunter. But the wild card, the ace here is that, or the joker, is that if nobody takes a step forward, you have the guy with the best ball skills in Travis Hunter. That, yes, maybe on day one we're like, well, we'd like to get him out there. We don't have to. But then as the time goes by, if nobody takes that step forward, I think the joker in the back of the deck is Travis Hunter, that he can go out there and play 25 to 35 snaps a game if you need him to.
Couple more for Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Cody, I want to look at the entire roster here in Jacksonville as we wrap up. Outside of Travis Hunter, when it comes to the Jaguar draft class, whether it's Ransaw from Tulane, Milam from West Virginia, Tootin, Jack Kaiser, go wherever you want to go. Were there any other guys or 2 or 3, however many, that stood out to you about the Jaguar draft class?
Yeah, I mean, Jack Kaiser's a fun one. He's a little bit undersized at linebacker, 4th-round pick from Notre Dame, but he was a guy down there at the Senior Bowl. I see, Chad Moon was on the roster ahead of him, on the depth chart ahead of him. It's like those guys are so similar. I thought that was an interesting selection. Maybe my favorite, though, was, like you said, Wyatt Milam, the 3rd-rounder from West Virginia, adding onto that interior. I remember a year ago, Ryan, us having this conversation about the offensive line. Why aren't they going after who's my center from Duke last year? I'm drawing a blank. He's
Graham Barton.
Graham Barton. There you go. Like, why aren't they going after Graham Barton in the 1st round? Right, he ends up in Tampa, and then they go out. They get Hainsey. They get Makari this year. They go at a Wyatt Milam. Like, they're starting to not only go after a guy in free agency, but then also add a guy in the draft and kind of sort of start to add that depth on the offensive line where they still need it. Right, like. Ezra's probably going to be okay. Walker Little's right there at left. Like, they're probably going to be okay, but you got to start adding free agency and adding in the draft. And I think Wyatt Milam, adding him in the draft on top of adding the interior guys in Hainsey and Makari was a great play.
Cody, the absolutely crazy thing, we get these roster sheets at OTAs, and more times than not through the years, I need them for a couple of practices, and I pretty much have the guys locked in. It's just I'm wired that way. That will not be the case this year, I don't think. Of the 90 guys on that roster sheet I got earlier this week, by my count, it was roughly 49 of the 90 that were not here in August for training camp. I mean, the turnover on this roster has been massive here in Jacksonville. From a mile-high view, just your overall thoughts on what the Jaguars have done from January to now in rebuilding this roster.
I think it's been not a complete shift, but it's been a shift in the right direction where like I said, we talked a year ago, 2 years ago about the way things were going. And it was like, man, they should be potentially going this way. And again, this is our POV, but they should be going this direction. They should be adding depth in these spots, and they're not doing it. And now they are doing it. And so that's the positive here. I don't think it was like a complete shift or anything. I think they added, like we've talked about, defensive back and the offensive line. Defensive back, offensive line. You reshift that wide receiver room that you spent a ton of money on. You didn't spend a ton of money, but the last regime did, right, 2-3 years ago, spent a lot of money on the Gabe Davises and the Christian Kirks of the world. And they just kind of reshifted it, brought that line back to middle, and now they can start to make this team into what they want as this year goes forward and into next year. So I think it's a good shift. And it's something that's needed in the middle of Trevor Lawrence's career that can allow him to take that next step forward this year and into next year.
Cody, as we wrap up, are they better now than they were when the season ended on January the 6th?
That's a good question. Better now than they were at the I think they're in a better place to move forward than they were then. I'm not sure if they're in a better overall roster.
And because you look, I mean, Evan Ingram's gone, Christian Kirk is gone. I mean, the number of guys that are gone, and the Jaguars have more dead cap room than any team in the NFL, which, again, you want to talk about James Gladstone just throwing caution to the wind. I mean, he did not like a lot of those contracts that Trent Baalke had, and he just said, look, we're going to eat this now and not have to deal with it in the future, which, again, I kind of applaud James Gladstone for doing.
Well, I think that's the old rule. I don't remember the exact way to say it, but basically if you ever envision doing something eventually, you should always just do it now. If you were eventually seeing the end for Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram or Gabe Davis, there's no better time to do it than just now. Just bite the bullet, get it over with, and move on and start to make this roster, like I said, look like more and more yours and what the new regime wants, rather than to just keep holding on to something that maybe isn't a fit or what you prefer in your offense.
Cody, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about Roster Watch and what they can expect when they head on over to the website.
Yeah, you can get everything over at Roster Watch 365 days a year. We're boots on the ground, fall camp, combine, draft, pro days, all summer long. We're on SiriusXM, Channel 87 during the season. We're doing all things fantasy football. You get NFL draft analysis. Everything's over at rosterwatch.com, at rosterwatch, on YouTube and on Twitter. So I really appreciate it, Ryan, as always.
He's one of our favorites, Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch. Cody, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. Let's do it again around training camp, pal.
Most definitely. Thank you.
There you go. Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch with us here on Hacker After Dark. Appreciate his time talking Travis Hunter, the rest of the draft class, and then, of course, the overall change to the roster. All the free agents brought in, the draft picks, the undrafted free agents, a ton of change. And look, of the free agents brought in, you would have to think an overwhelming majority, if not all of those guys, are going to make the team, right? There's 13 right there. They drafted 9 guys. I don't think James Gladstone's going to be in the business of cutting any of his draft picks for a Trent Baalke draft pick, if you will. So if you figure the 9 draft picks make it, well, without even thinking, that's 22 of the 53 that are going to be new that were not here a year ago. And who knows if undrafted free agents make it and what other roster moves may come down the line in the next couple of months. Certainly, it's been an interesting offseason. It's been a fun offseason, and it continues. OTAs at the end of this week, next week as well. Mandatory veteran minicamp on the horizon. Then, of course, all eyes about 2 months from now, probably less than 2 months from now, as a matter of fact, until training camp gets underway here in Jacksonville. NBA playoffs tonight. Tip-off at Oklahoma City coming up in the next 10 minutes or so. The Thunder lead the Timberwolves 3-1. They're looking to wrap up the Western Conference Championship tonight. Minnesota looking to send this back to the Twin Cities for a Game 6. That would be, I believe, on Friday. But Oklahoma City at home tonight. They're up 3-1. They're an 8.5-point favorite. Tip-off of that game comes up in less than 10 minutes. Give the Carolina Hurricanes some credit. They trailed the Florida Panthers 3-0 in this series. Florida 1 win away from going back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Carolina won Game 4, and Carolina's out to an early lead in Game 5. Hurricanes lead the Panthers 1-0. 8.5 to go in the first period. As Carolina looking to make that series interesting. Again, Florida 1 win away, trying to defend their Stanley Cup championship. 1 win away from going back to the Cup Finals. Carolina, though, kind of becoming a pain for Florida. They forced a Game 5 and now lead in Game 5, 1-0 midway through the first period. Coming up next, let's go down to Gainesville. One of my guys in Gainesville is my buddy Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Let's talk Alex Condon coming back to school, what that means for Todd Golden and their defense of a national championship. Let's talk Lady Gator softball as their World Series begins tomorrow in Oklahoma City. And, of course, Kevin O'Sullivan and the baseball team get their NCAA tournament underway on Friday afternoon. There's a lot to get into, a little football recruiting as well. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, joins me next right here on Hacker After Dark.
1010XL is multimedia. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can't buy this kind of media exposure. 1010XL, maximum media exposure.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
Hey folks, Frank Frangie here reminding you the 4th annual Dailies Walk-Off Charities Golf Classic is right around the corner. We sure appreciate our friends at Dailies, always making it possible, and appreciate so many of you who have played over the years. This year, we're back at Deer Creek Country Club Monday, June 9th at 9 a.m. with tons of prizes, auction items, and an awful lot of fun. You'll even meet some of our young walk-off players. Just go to walkoffcharities.com for more information. Can't wait to see you on June 9th at the Dailies Walk-Off Charities Golf Classic.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the windows down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Since 1901, generations of skilled union workers have built the backbone of our community. Hospitals, schools, the buildings where you work. Every year, a new apprentice class of Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians is stepping up, trained, driven, and ready to do great things. They're not just building our city, they're building their future. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to become a member or contractor today.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show. With tips and stories. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10. On 1010XL.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
What NFL stadium has been used the longest by an NFL team?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Green Bay's Lambeau Field has been used by the Packers since 1957, a span of over 60 years.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hey, Hicken here. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our homes. That's where Zero Res comes in. I love Zero Res, and this month get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner with May Mayhem. A 3-room special starting at $149 plus the 4th room is free. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res 28757 or go online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and say you want the Hicken special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, there is a ton going on with Florida Gator Athletics. The softball team is in the Women's World Series. Baseball team getting ready for another regional. And, of course, basketball's big news, the return of Alex Condon. Let's talk about all of it with Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. He's certainly one of our guys in Gainesville. And Andrew's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You know, it's supposed to be summertime, and, you know, it's like recruiting's about to fire up really hard this weekend. You got softball, basketball news, baseball news. You got everything you can go about. So never a slow time.
No, it's a busy time for you. And let's begin with the big news for the basketball team. The return of Alex Condon after last week, the return of Ruben Chinyalu, and the arrival of Boogie Flan to go with Xavier Lee and A.J. Brown in the portal. Obviously, we already knew about Thomas Howell coming back, Micah Hand-Lockton as well. I mean, Andrew, they knew they were losing Elijah Martin, Walter Clayton, and Will Richard. There was nothing they could do about that. Aberdeen, I guess, was a surprise, but I got to tell you, man, Todd Golden and that staff, they did about as good a job with this roster this offseason as they possibly could have, correct?
Correct. First of all, let's give respect to the name Boogie. I mean, what a name for basketball. But yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, you know, I think that's, you know, everybody talked about Todd Golden and they're like, you know, did he get lucky with this roster? And it's like, no, not really, because he built this roster. You know, he built this roster and it was really, really good. And it shows that, you know, they call him the portal god because, I mean, he's really good in the portal. I mean, you know, getting in Xavier Lee to come in, you know, getting Boogie to come in, but then, you know, just being able to keep Condon, keep Chinyalu. I mean, it would have been very easy for one of those guys to say, hey, we're coming back to school, but we're going to transfer because there's 4 big guys and we want to play more. I mean, that happens everywhere. I mean, that's the reason Denzel Aberdeen left. And so, you know, the ability to keep the guys there is huge. And I mean, when you look at it, Florida has to have maybe the top, if not the top, one of the top 3 front courts returning. And then you put together what they have in the back court and, with some of those guys, and then, that they got in the portal, but also some of the guys they returned that are going to get better. You think Brown's going to get a little bit better, especially after you added his brother. You got a really good back court to go with one of the best front courts in the game. And Condon's going to be better next year. We know that. Thomas Hout's going to be better next year. And I personally thought I seen a lot from Chinyalu down the stretch that showed me that he was going to improve.
Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, it's obviously really early, but what's your early thought? I mean, Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan are your starting guards with Houck at the 3, Condon the 4, Chinyalu at the 5, which means your bench consists of Urban Quavsar, Micah Hanlockton, the 2 freshmen, Ingram and Lloyd, and the transfer A.J. Brown. Is that the way you see it right now?
Yeah, and then you have Isaiah Brown that, it was a freshman last year, didn't play very much. You have him that, you think that he's going to get some minutes. And, I don't know that CJ Ingram doesn't get some minutes next year. I mean, his ability is really good there. And, the crazy thing is there is talk that, Florida's going to add one more and, they're going kind of shooting their shot at the Alex Condon's team, former teammate in Australia, Ben. I think it's Henshell is how you spell it or how you say it. There's a little bit of hurdles there and some stuff about him coming back. But, if you were able to add him, then you could really go 12 deep in this roster of just legit players that could play. And, this could turn out to be one of the better rosters that Florida's ever had from top to bottom depth-wise.
It's so hard to win a national championship. I mean, let's think back 2 months ago. They were down 9 with 2:50 to go against Texas Tech. They trailed at the under 4 media timeout to Houston, UConn. I think they were tied with Auburn with about that much time left. And every game went Florida's way. So it's hard to win a national title. Having said that, Florida is going to be on a very, very short list in 2025, 2026 of teams that can win the national title, correct?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is how quick does this team gel? I mean, obviously, Lee and Flan, they've got to gel in the backcourt. You got 2 guys back there who are used to, kind of being the guy on their team. And, Boogie had a little bit of questions, last year with Calipari at Arkansas, different struggles he had. But what you got on the inside. Those 3 are going to gel really well. And, you got to get your bench worked out. But I think it's a team that definitely has the ability to go in and repeat and be an Indy for the Final Four next year. Again, like you say, it's all about who gets hot. I mean, Florida got absolutely scorching hot, mid-February, where it was just unbelievable there. And, that's the biggest thing. The SEC is going to be good again, but I mean, I don't know on paper if there's many teams that you can say are better than Florida.
Andrew Spivey of GatorCountry.com. All right, that's the basketball story. There are a couple of other stories going on postseason-wise. Let's begin with baseball. The Gators are back in the regional. For starters, Andrew, 1-11 in conference play seems like a long time ago. What a job by Kevin O'Sullivan and that staff, that team, to do what they did to get back in the NCAA tournament. And I think under the circumstances, they got a pretty decent draw with Coastal Carolina and East Carolina. What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, Florida was on the brink of being one of those host teams. I mean, I think if they beat Ole Miss last week and possibly win one more game in the tournament, I think you're talking about a team that was going to host. I mean, that stretch where they won, against Texas and Arkansas was Texas and Arkansas was a really good stretch. I mean, that was some big wins. And then you have that, the series win over Florida State and Miami as well. They had a lot of big wins and down the stretch. And, I think this is a team that is one of those that is finding its way later in the year. And, kind of like last year a little bit where it's like they're hot at the right time. And, this team's going to go as far as the pitching does, obviously. I mean, Peterson's looked good. King has looked good. The bullpen's been a little shaky at times. And then if Pierce can, pitch on Sunday or be your third starter, that would be a big thing. But this is a team that's gotten hot late. And, they got injury. They got guys back from injury, but also, this was a team that had some guys, some newcomers in the lineup, some transfers in the lineup, and I think they finally got comfortable and settled in and really got on a roll. And this is a team that I don't know that Coastal Carolina or ECU is very happy to see in their bracket for the region.
Andrew, I almost hate to have this mindset, but I think back to 1-11 to where Florida is now. No one thought Florida was going to make the tournament after 1-11. I mean, are they playing with house money at this point? Just the fact that they got in?
If you're using the mindset of 1-11, yes. If you're using the mindset of the beginning of the year, no, because there were some good high expectations, to make a run again after what they did last year. But I would say they're kind of playing with house money because we know how bad it was. It was miserable when it was 1-11. You were talking about one of the worst Gator teams ever, at that time, and to do what they do, I think that they've definitely improved. They definitely showed everybody, and Kevin O'Sullivan's definitely showed why he's one of the, premier coaches in the game and one of the best of all time. I think most fans expect to go into Coastal Carolina and win, and anything above that, in my opinion, is house money.
Final moments, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. I want to end with a little Gator football recruiting, but of course the Lady Gators are in the Women's College World Series again. I believe the 3 seed in the Women's College World Series. What's the outlook for them as they get underway, I believe, tomorrow?
Yeah, Texas tomorrow is their first, and that's a series that's going to be tough. Texas is a really, really good ball team, and a team that Florida will have to go after. And it's going to be a game that Florida is going to have to pitch really well in that game. And it's Oklahoma City where the best of the best are at. If they get by Texas in game 1, then they'll have Oklahoma most likely as long as they get by in that second game. And Florida took 2 out of 3 from Oklahoma in Gainesville earlier this year, so Oklahoma will be looking for revenge. But this is a Florida team that can go win the national title. I mean, their bats, their lineup this year is really, really good. I mean, they're looking at the freshman of the year in Taylor Shoemaker, who set all kind of Florida records for a freshman, and Rothrock has finally gotten back in the circle and gotten healthy. She missed about a month and a half, and she's finally getting back to that point of being able to have the stamina to go 6 innings and be able to keep up the pace for 6 innings. Early on, it was 2 or 3, 4 innings, and then she was kind of losing a little bit. But this is a team that can go win in Oklahoma City. Obviously, Oklahoma will probably be the biggest test, and unfortunately, they're on the same side of the bracket. But the way it works out there is if whoever loses that game will go to the other bracket, and they could potentially meet in the national title.
It's a busy time with Gator baseball getting their regional underway on Friday. The Lady Gator softball team begins the College World Series. As Andrew said, tomorrow we got Alex Condon returning to Florida for basketball, but we're never too far away from talking football as we enter the month of June. Right around the corner, preseason magazines about to hit newsstands. I know the SEC meetings are going on out in Destin. Andrew, where are we with Gator recruiting? You mentioned a busy weekend coming up. Where are the Gators on the recruiting trail right now?
Yeah, they picked up another commit last week. That's 2 now. Will Griffin, the quarterback, and then the defensive line, Jameer Perez from Cleveland, Ohio, committed not last weekend, 2 weekends ago. I'm sorry, when he was on an official visit. And it's kind of where Billy Napier and those guys have been, where they've started slow in recruiting as far as commits go until the summer, and then they really start to load up. They got 18 expected official visits this weekend, and a lot of names that you could really see, come into class. One of the bigger ones coming in is Jalen McCoy from Tupelo, Mississippi, a big defensive lineman. He decommitted from LSU a couple months ago and it's kind of named Florida's leader there. Florida's in really good shape there. And, the next 2, 3, 4 weeks is going to be really important for this staff and in recruiting, as I think you'll see Florida get into double digits and commits here pretty soon over the next couple of weeks and into the 1st of July. And, it's weird because, Ryan, you and I used to talk about it all the time. December was the busiest month for recruiting, and now it's almost like June, the last of May, early June is the busiest time of recruiting because that's when official visits are happening. Guys are making their NIL deals and making their commitments and all of that, and having having most of that done before the fall gets here. And, you still have your one or two guys that flip, but for the majority of it, who's in your class in the summer is pretty much who's going to be in your class at the end when it comes signing day in December. So next couple of weeks, official visits are absolutely huge for this team.
Andrew, we got 60 seconds. I had Gator buddies texting me after that commit a couple weeks ago with the number 2 and a question mark. Little concerned about 2 commitments only at this point, but you don't think there is any cause for concern there?
No, I mean, again, I think that this is more of Billy and them waiting on official visits and, having guys come on official visits. I mean, they had the other kid, the linebacker, Isaiah Williams, who's now on his 5th school committed to when he flipped to Ole Miss a couple of weeks ago. And, that one was one that nobody really thought was going to stick in the first place. So, is there a little bit of concern? Yeah. Would you have liked to start it hotter? Yeah. And not put so much pressure on yourself when it comes to official visits. But it's been Billy Napier's kind of, mojo. I mean, that's what he is. He's really good about getting guys on official visits, and him and his staff absolutely selling them on Florida in the Vision, having them around DJ Lagway. So if we're sitting here at the end of July and the commitment class hasn't gotten up, yeah, I'm going to be a little concerned. But until then, I think everything is kind of on pace as to where it usually is with Billy.
Andrew, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, GatorCountry.com and the coverage you guys will have in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, we'll be hitting baseball. Our guy Nick is going up to Coastal Carolina this weekend. I'll be doing softball and recruiting as well, and staying on top of basketball as, kind of fill that one more roster spot. And then before you know it, we'll be covering SEC Media Days and all that good stuff. So follow me at Andrew Spivey GC on X and Gator Country on the web.
Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out, pal. We'll do it again soon.
Always, Ryan. Appreciate you, buddy.
He'll go to work. Shot is up and in! Banchero drills it!
I'm Paulo Banchero of the Orlando Magic.
Big time Banchero!
On Jacksonville Sports Radio, 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Come in, Linda. Over.
We've got a sea of new vehicles and they're priced so low they're rocking the boat. Come check out our biggest selection of inventory with prices that don't break the bank and our wow ya experience that will ensure smooth sailing for your next car purchase. Plus, take advantage of our peace of mind warranties, transparent pricing to provide you with a peace of mind. You better beat the surge and head to the all-new Beaver Toyota or Chevrolet for the car buying experience you deserve.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hacker here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Being in the maintenance program now with Awaken 180 Weight Loss has been great. After losing well over 100 pounds, I still meet with my coach now once a month, get the guidance that I need so the weight doesn't come back on. Losing the weight was fantastic, but honestly, keeping the weight off has been as rewarding. It is phenomenal. Awaken 180 has absolutely changed my life. In fact, I'm going on a cruise next week. I'm even going to do formal night to take some of those photos. I would have never done that 100 pounds ago. With Awaken 180 Weight Loss, now I'm not afraid of the camera anymore. Again, absolutely life-changing. If it's time for you to make that change like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Spring has sprung, and so have the bugs. It's Hayes Carline and my friends at Kingfish Pest Control offer an exclusive $99 spring special. That's right, your initial pest control service is just $99. And if you call today, they'll include a free one-time mosquito treatment. Kingfish Pest Control is family-owned, 5-star rated with no binding contracts and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call them now to book your service. Only at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always brag on what you guys have on-road and off-road. But Greg, tell everybody about what's happening on the water, because you got loads of opportunity.
We do. We've got lots of boats in stock. We got the Honda 19-foot Fisher Runabout. We've got the Coach pontoons, all of them with that legendary Honda motor and legendary Honda reliability, which you always want when you're out on the water.
You could be cruising along the Intercoastal or out on the ocean, but check it out. Facebook page ready for all of you to see, Cycles of Jacksonville, or their showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
Hey, Hicken here. Tired of glasses or contacts? Discover customized vision solutions at Bowden Eye & Associates. Dr. Bowden's team offers cutting-edge options like EVO implantable Collamer lenses or refractive lens exchange and classic LASIK, designed to fit your life. Picture perfect vision for reading, driving, or just enjoying the day. It's easier than you think. Call now for your free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, they're keeping the First Coast focused.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night. 1010XL 92.5 FM. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour of the 9 o'clock hour, our AFC North preview continues. Last night we were in Pittsburgh. Tonight we will go up to Cincinnati. My guy Jay Morrison, BengalsTalk.com. That's a part of Sports Illustrated. We'll talk about the new contracts for Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow. That offense was awesome last year. The defense completely let them down. And speaking of that defense, what about the future of Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati? So we'll talk about all of that as our AFC North preview continues. Jay Morrison, BengalsTalk.com. Before that, Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus stops by inside of 10 minutes. We'll talk Travis Hunter. We'll talk some Jaguars. And we will look at a little Florida and Florida State, as Dalton Wasserman is one of the college football hosts on the PFF College Football Show. So, little Jaguars, little college talk as well with Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus inside of 10 minutes. Mentioned earlier, Game 5 of the NBA Western Conference Finals. Oklahoma City leads the series 3-1. They can win it tonight. And it's looking pretty good early. They are, well, quite frankly, destroying Minnesota 22-7 with 2.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Minnesota Timberwolves have 7 points in almost 10 minutes of play. They are 3 of 17 from the field, 1 of 7 from three-point range. 3 of 17. Let me do my Wolfson math on that. That is good for roughly 17 or 18%. Absolutely crazy. But Oklahoma City, who can win the Western Conference tonight, it's looking really good early as they're up 16. In the National Hockey League Eastern Conference Finals, Carolina's added another goal. They were down 3-0 in this series. They won Game 4, and they're now winning Game 5, 2-0 at the first intermission. They're looking to send it back to Miami for a Game 6. I guess teams have come back from 3-0 deficits in hockey. It's never happened in the NBA. It's happened a couple of times in hockey. Carolina is looking to do it, and they're close to being halfway there as they're up 2-0, trying to force a Game 6 back in South. They take into account all the roster additions, acquisitions, crunch all the numbers, right? It's an analytics formula, and they split out the FPI power rankings. As you would imagine, the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending world champions, are number 1. Kansas City, a team that lost in the Super Bowl, comes in at number 2. Rounding out the top 5, Baltimore, Detroit, and Buffalo. Denmark, my question for you off the top of your head, 1 to 32, where do you think the Jaguars came in the ESPN.com Football Power Index today?
No higher than 24, no lower than 29.
No, you're not far off.
I'll say they probably have them at 26.
22 is where they have them. But the interesting thing about that's second in the division. They have the Titans 31. They have the Colts 23. The Texans, by the way, are number 13. But yeah, the Jaguars are in a group with, let's see, Pittsburgh 17, Dallas 18, Miami 19, Arizona, Seattle, then Jacksonville, followed by Indianapolis, Las Vegas, New England, Atlanta, and then the New York Giants. So a little bit of respect for Jacksonville coming in at 22 on this list. Again, you got 14 teams make the playoffs. So what ESPN.com is saying, at least the Football Power Index is saying, Jacksonville is closer to making the tail end of the playoffs than they are being the worst team in the league. And we'll see with the development of Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., of course, Trevor Lawrence as well with this Jaguar offense. Again, Jay Morrison, as our AFC North preview continues, talking Cincinnati Bengals offseason. That comes up in about 25 minutes or so. Coming up next, let's talk a little Jaguars. Let's also mix in a little Florida Gators and a little Florida State Seminoles. My buddy Dalton Wasserman, Pro Football Focus, joins us next right here on a Wednesday evening in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us till 10 o'clock right here on Hacker After Dark.
We found the computer outlet, sir.
Plug in.
1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
I mean, to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, ended up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. I'm here to share that the Gator Bowl is actually a year-round organization. We're known for the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl football game, which has been a Jacksonville staple for more than 80 years. Off the football field, the Gator Bowl has also hosted the annual Florida State baseball game, a champion of local youth through Gator Bowl charities, and a strong networking organization of local individuals and companies through our membership. We're actually looking to grow membership, which is an affordable, fun way for you to get involved and give back to our community. To learn more, visit GatorBowl.com for more information.
Buying a diamond, wedding band, or piece of fashion jewelry in Jacksonville? You have two choices. You can go to locally owned Beard's Diamonds, or you can go to one of those mega national chain jewelry stores. The national chains are pretty much all the same. In fact, did you know that some of them are owned by the same conglomerate? Yes, the same Wall Street company owns all the big names. So if you're looking for extreme value with genuine personal attention, come experience the Beard's Diamond difference. At Beard's, our diamonds come straight from the source. We hand select each one for maximum brilliance. We don't have to apply corporate markups and tack on salespeople commissions, so we beat the chains on price every single day. Beards has the strongest warranties, not gotcha clauses in fine print. Beards has all the top designers, including Tacori and Viraggio. Beards doesn't have out-of-state regional managers calling about sales quotas. We are all local, family-owned, with total freedom to do what's right for our customers. Beards Diamonds, all the selection, quality, value, and service you want from local people, accountable only to you. Beards in the St. John's Town Center.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 3:20 for the latest in sports injuries. From all the big names in the game, who's MIA, who's coming back from injury. Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 3:20.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
This summer, get ready to rock like never before. The Jacksonville Rock Orchestra brings the thunder with an electrifying night of Led Zeppelin like you've never heard it. Live at the Florida Theater, June 4th. Kashmir, Whole Lotta Love, and Stairway to Heaven reimagined with the full power of a rock orchestra. Led Zeppelin, orchestra style, only in Jacksonville. Get your tickets before they're gone at floridatheater.com.
Jacksonville Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coatings, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us as we enter the month of June. Jaguar OTA is going on. We're less than a month away from the mandatory veteran minicamp, only 2 months away from training camp. And as you look on that calendar, college football preseason magazines will begin to hit newsstands as summer conditioning and a look ahead to fall camp is just on the horizon. Dalton Wasserman of PFF, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dalton, how you doing?
Fantastic. Hope you guys out there had a good Memorial Day weekend. I know I did for sure. I was up here in Chicago, so AC/DC on Saturday. So I'm living. It's been a good off season so far.
Very nice. Yeah, I got a vacation next week. Then the wife and I are going out to Vegas to the Sphere to see Kenny Chesney. So I'm going to live it up a little bit myself. But AC/DC in Chicago, that's going to be tough to beat. All right, Dalton, it was tough to beat the Jaguar offseason from a media perspective, man. I mean, every couple of weeks it was just crazy down here. The new coaching staff, the youngest general manager, all the free agent acquisitions, and then, of course, Travis Hunter at the draft a little over a month ago. Your reaction to what the Jaguars did in getting Travis Hunter?
I think it's a gutsy move, obviously, by James Gladstone, right? And I think just when you think about the trade up and, giving up next year's first round pick and really feeling like Travis Hunter was one of the very few generational prospects in this draft. There was really only a thought there was 3, maybe 4 guys who were like that in this draft. But Travis certainly the Heisman season, the possibilities of maybe eventually being a two-way player. But I think when you look at what they did throughout free agency, getting Jordan Lewis in at corner, solidifying the secondary, when they did that, it really felt like, okay, they want Travis Hunter to be the guy right alongside. I don't even want to call him number 2 because I think he could be still one of the best receivers in the league. 1A and 1B with Brian Thomas Jr. I think now you've got possibilities with the offensive line they fixed in free agency, or they should have fixed with Macari and guys like Robert Hainsey as well. And now what you have in Thomas and Hunter, that could very quickly be one of the most dynamic receiving duos we have in the league. And now have to keep Trevor Lawrence healthy enough to get him the ball.
That's the hope here in Jacksonville with Hunter and Thomas. And I do think there's going to be an element of Travis Hunter's game, Dalton, that will be on the defensive end as well. They're serious about him playing both. Now, I don't think he's going to be playing 100% snaps on both sides of the ball. Is it 15 on defense? Is it 25 snaps a game? I don't really think we know yet. But what is your thought about what Travis Hunter is going to try to do?
I'm optimistic on the two-way part of this. Maybe 100% of the snaps, like when he was playing 130 snaps a game at Colorado during certain stretches, maybe that's a little too much. But NFL games that have a handful of less snaps in them offensively and defensively regardless. And then you talk about, I'm a believer that at his full capability, he could probably do 75 to 80% on both sides. I do think it's more likely going to be that he plays almost 100% on offense, and then maybe you work in 20 to 25 snaps on defense, especially with just the depth at corner they have, right? When you talk about Tyson Campbell and now Jordan Lewis and Jerrion Jones, they've got some darn good players at corner that just didn't play up to their full potential last year, some of them. So, I think when it comes to Hunter playing defense, they're going to break him into the air first, but he's certainly got the capability. And even, last year in college in our metrics, he was the only player in the country who graded inside the top 10 in man and zone coverage. So the scheme really isn't an issue with him, and his football IQ is off the charts to play both ways. So I think he's just somebody who's going to break in on, and then 20 to 25 snaps a game on defense might be a possibility there.
Dalton Wasserman, PFF, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dalton, you alluded to it earlier, man. Of the 90 players at OTAs for the Jaguars right now, by my count, over half, I think 49 of the 90 were not even here in August of 2024 for training camp last year. It has been a massive overhaul of the entire roster under James Gladstone and Liam Cohen. From a mile-high view, what do you make of this Jaguar roster now? Are they better now than they were in January?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, they didn't make a ton of additions, but I think the ones that they made, they certainly, at least the bigger name ones they made, they certainly got better, right? They had very targeted areas that they were trying to get better. The offensive line, getting another receiver in Hunter, certainly the secondary that was such a big issue last year. There's some guys that are staying that need to play better, but then, they obviously attacked it. Hunter's a possibility at corner. Jordan Lewis, obviously, they think very highly of Caleb Ransaw, their third-round pick, who's going to play safety. So that's really the one spot I might consider, that I'm a little wary of, is that safety spot on defense. But it's hard to fix everything in one offseason for a team that won, 5 games last year. The bigger thing really is about, just like so many of these other teams, centering this thing around your quarterback, around Trevor Lawrence, getting better blocking in front of him, getting a real number 2 receiver aside from Brian Thomas Jr. That's where it's going to be, is you're going to see the biggest jump in what they've built around Trevor Lawrence. And if Lawrence can get back to, say, that 2022 and early 2023 form, then you're really talking about a good football team. I think that team is more talented than just a 5-win team. I think they were last year, and a lot of it was coaching and then kind of a morale issue. This year now, Gladstone, Liam Cohen, they're very high on intangibles, and the turnover that they had from last year's team, I think, had that in mind.
Dalton, final NFL question. I want to end with a little Florida and Florida State with you, but final topic on the National Football League. The AFC South, I'm not breaking any news here. It's not a great division by any stretch of the imagination. What are your thoughts about where the Jaguars fit in that division as we enter the month of June?
I think they fit in more so. I still think Tennessee is going to be towards the bottom just because they're building so much. You have a new quarterback and number 1 overall pick and all of that, right? But I think between, them and Indy, between them and the Jags and the Colts, you're battling for second place at the very least. I think Houston is still the favorite to win the division despite some offensive line issues. But look, if you hit the ceiling of what Trevor Lawrence, what we know he can be, and Travis Hunter being the receiver that he can be, and then this defense, and especially the secondary, just being any better than they were last year, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility to compete for the top of the AFC South. I'd make Houston the favorite, but I think they're right alongside Indianapolis, who has a good team, but they have quarterback issues, so that's always the thing that can drag you down like it did last year for them. I think Jacksonville can certainly compete for the top and absolutely compete for second place with Indianapolis.
Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus. All right, you also do a lot of work on the college football ranks there at PFF. Dalton, let's begin with Florida. Look, last year at this point, the expectation was, when is Billy Napier going to be fired? This year at Florida, the expectation is, can they maybe be a dark horse for the college football playoff? It's going to rely on the health of DJ Lagway, certainly, but what's an early thought from you on Billy Napier and the Gators entering 2025?
So I think I have 3 thoughts on the Gators here. Well, I'll go into one thing first. The schedule is very hard, so they're going to need these 3 things to happen to get through, and I'm just going to assume that they need to win 10 games. I think as far as the precedent that was set last year, you have to win 10 games most likely to get an at-large. 1, DJ Lagway, great arm talent, maybe the most arm talent of any quarterback in college football. Got to work on the underneath throws and his underneath accuracy and his footwork to really match it up, right? For us, he was the 3rd best deep passer beyond 20 yards in the country last year. So we know he can make every throw on the field. He's got to be more consistent with the easy stuff. 2, Trey Wilson, I think, is the guy that has to make that happen. You mentioned Lagway's health. Wilson's the guy that has to be healthy because he's so dynamic after the catch and underneath. He's got that Deebo Samuel kind of running back with the ball in his hands sort of thing out there. And then 3, that defensive line. I'm looking at Florida's defensive line needing to be one of the dominant units in the SEC, led by guys like Tyreek Sapp and Caleb Banks. These are potential first-round picks up there on the D-line. That front 4 has to control the game for them. And then Lagway and Trey Wilson especially, I think, are obviously the important guys on offense.
Dalton, Florida from top to bottom, I don't believe they are where Georgia is or where Alabama is, but I do believe they might have caught some other teams. I mean, this is Napier's probably best roster on paper, and I don't think it's outlandish to say maybe they've caught Tennessee or maybe they've caught LSU to an extent. What is your thought on the overall roster when it comes to the rest of the conference?
No, I agree. I think you could very easily see a scenario. They have to prove it, but you could see a scenario where they're in that second tier. Personally, I think going into this season, I think the 2 best teams in the SEC are Texas and Alabama right now. Alabama's got a loaded unit coming back. Just got to figure out if Ty Simpson's the guy at quarterback. But I think Florida could very easily be in that second conversation, in that at-large conversation in the SEC if they get through the tough schedule that they do have. I think the 2 teams I look at in the SEC like that are both Florida and Auburn are the 2 that I go, they have an opportunity, they have enough talent to take the step up, but are they going to go out there and execute and do it? Those are the 2 I'm looking at, but I think that's absolutely in the conversation. I think Tennessee's going to take a step back. LSU's really got to worry about their offensive line, losing 4 starters. Texas A&M has a hard time throwing the ball. So every team's got their flaws, and it's very possible head-to-head that they can move up the ladder for sure.
Final moments, Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus. Dalton, to Tallahassee, while we have you here, it was a disaster last year. 2-10, that's just unfathomable to Florida State fans. Now, Mike Norvell gutted the coaching staff, revamped that. They've been unbelievably active in the portal. Yet the vibe I get, Dalton, and I'm interested in your thoughts, obviously, is there's still a lot of unknown about Florida State in 2025.
There's a lot of unknown, especially on the defensive side and in the passing game. And I'll tell you one thing that I believe we should know is that with Gus Malzahn as the new offensive coordinator and Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback, coming over from Boston College, you're gonna see Florida State run the ball a ton. That's what it's gonna be. They're gonna stay on the ground. Mike Norvell's gonna try to get back to the running game with Gus Malzahn, just like they used to with Jordan Travis, and then complement it with the passing game. They want to get back to their roots offensively. So I think you're going to get a ton of carries from Castellanos himself at quarterback, Roydell Williams, Cam Thomas behind him. I think you're going to get a ton of running the ball, and there might be games, that Florida State wins. They only throw it maybe 15 to 20 times. If that's the case, I think that's by design. I think he's going to let Gus Malzahn have full control of this offense, and especially this run game, to try to jumpstart everything, play more of a ball control offense. Because last year on offense, it just didn't look like they had any identity. You know what they were trying to do with DJ Uiagalelei and get a vertical passing game going, but it was just too different from Jordan Travis, who gave you that dual threat. They're trying to get back to that with Castellanos. They're going to run the football a lot.
6-6 or 7-5, Dalton, would be a massive improvement in Tallahassee, coming off of 2-10. But with 6-6 or 7-5, keep Mike Norvell around for 2026.
Yeah, I think it would. I think he's got to make a bowl game. That's probably the cutoff for him keeping the job. I'm not expecting them to compete at the top of the ACC with Clemson and Louisville and SMU this year, but coming off a year like they had last year, arguably the most disappointing team in the country, they needed to get back step by step. This needs to be maybe a 2 and 3 year process, but year one has to have something positive, and I think that starts with making a bowl game. I'm with you.
Dalton, final question. Miami with Carson Beck. Carson Beck won a state championship at Mandarin High School no more than 10 minutes from where I'm talking to you. He's now in Coral Gables. He's got to replace Cam Ward. What is your thought on Mario Cristobal and the Hurricanes?
I think it's a big season for them. I think defensively, especially in the secondary, they're going to need to step up better than they did last year, because that's really what cost them. Because I think Carson actually be very good. He's still very, very good if you protect him. He just doesn't have the mobility of Cam Ward. He's not going to move around and improvise. If their offensive line plays well, Carson Beck could be really, really good for them, but they're going to need their secondary to step up a little bit, because Beck's not going to be quite as good as Ward was last year with kind of a Heisman-worthy season he had down there. He can be very good. He's not Cam Ward. They have to balance this team out with the defense, run the ball probably a little bit more even than they did last year. If they have a balanced football team, they can compete at the top of the ACC. But to me, it's about the back seven of their defense. Their D-line will be great. It's that secondary that they're hoping to improve. I know they got a couple transfers in there. If they can cover better, they got a shot.
Is Clemson the best team in the country coming into the year?
Oh, man. They're probably in the top three. They've got a very good argument for number one. The only question I have is whether they can balance the offense with the run game, but Cade Klubnik is very, very good, obviously. They've got a loaded receiving core. You could argue they have the best defense in the country with all the talent they have coming back. I think it's a very good argument. They're at least in the top three, I would say, along with Texas and Penn State.
Dalton, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, PFF and the coverage you'll have coming out in the coming days and weeks.
Of course, we've got our on the PFF College Football Show on our YouTube channel, myself and Max Chadwick breaking down all the preview content. We're going through position rankings right now, top 10 players at every position, going through position unit rankings for teams, and then starting in, I believe, late June or so, we're going to be previewing all 70 Power 4 teams individually. We're going to have written previews on those at PFF.com, also including Florida State, Miami, UCF, everybody in the Power 4. So tune into that on PFF.com and the PFF College Football Show on YouTube.
Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus. Dalton, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Appreciate it big time, Ryan. Thank you.
She's never taken no for an answer. You can't cook, you can't dance. And that's why she's on Helmets and Heels. You're a woman, right? Mia O'Brien.
That makes me rather dangerous.
Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
With the first pick in the 2025 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 plumbing, septic, and air conditioning contractor in Florida.
Congratulations, Duck Duck Rooter. So tell us, how does it feel to be picked #1?
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Friday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL's Gator Bites podcast wherever you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Spring has sprung, and so have the bugs. It's Hayes Carline and my friends at Kingfish Pest Control offer an exclusive $99 spring special. That's right, your initial pest control service is just $99. And if you call today, they'll include a free one-time mosquito treatment. Kingfish Pest Control is family-owned, 5-star rated with no binding contracts, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call them now to book your service. Only at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and Triumph has branched off from on-road to off-road. Give us the latest on what they've got.
They've got the 250 and the 450. Rick Carmichael designed these bikes himself, and they are bad to the bone.
So you're talking about a really cool effect from a bike off-road that Triumph had on-road forever.
It is, and it's out there winning races, and it is fun to ride.
Check it out, Cycles of Jacksonville, their showroom on Atlantic near Regency, or online on their Facebook page.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden Eye & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Caliber lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call. Mayhem. 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res.
is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jax cool since '87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. One division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. And this week, it's all about the AFC North. We will make stops in Cleveland, in Baltimore, in Pittsburgh. But right now, it's all about the Cincinnati Bengals and what a productive offseason they've had to this point. Yet there are still a few questions about this roster heading into these summer months. Jay Morrison has been our guy in Cincinnati for years. He is with Bengals Talk. That's a part of SI, and Jay's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Jay, how you doing?
Oh, doing great. Ready for this off-season program to get going, or the OTAs to get going.
Yeah, we got OTAs this week here in Jacksonville as well. All right, two gigantic contracts, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. One still questioning is Trey Hendrickson. We'll get to that in a moment. But what did it mean for this organization to get Chase and Higgins both locked up long-term?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, that's you see Joe Burrow stumping for that and really going out and saying T is in need. I don't think there was any question that Jamar was going to get done. They knew the day they drafted him that they were going to have to fork out this kind of a contract and keep him here long term. T was the bigger question mark. And, could you, not that they don't believe in him, or was there a question, is he worth it? Can you afford to pay that kind of money to two wide receivers? And they clearly believe that is the path forward, even after having such a bad defense last year that it cost them a spot in the playoffs with the historic offensive year. They still ponied up that money for both those guys, and that's their belief going forward, that offense is going to carry this team, and they don't have any qualms. Not only do they not only have any qualms about moving forward with that much money committed to the offense, they really hamstrung themselves this offseason by not getting those deals done before the start of free agency, and that kind of blew up their free agency plan, and they were left holding the bag. There's guys out there, positions out there they needed to address, and they weren't able to because they weren't sure how these contracts were going to land. So they were about a week too late in getting them done, but I think most people in Cincinnati are glad that it got done regardless of the timing.
Outside, Jay, of Higgins and Chase, which, again, those are two of probably the top 15, 20 receivers in the league, so that's a pretty good start. But outside of those two, how would you assess the rest of the skill position around Joe Burrow?
Oh, yeah, I think it's borderline elite. Chase Brown is really emerging as a dynamic running back. He had a breakout year last year in his second year, and, again, it's a position that maybe they could have gone and got a little more help. They went and they brought Samaje Perine back. He's going to be the third down, the blocking, the protector for Joe Burrow. But, you look at tight end, and really it's Mike Gesicki's more of a receiver than a tight end, but that's his position. They signed him to a 3-year deal as well. It kind of gets overlooked when Joe Burrow's out there stumping for Jamar and T. He said Mike G was part of that too, and they rewarded him with a huge contract. Not Jamar level, but 3 years, $24 million. That's a nice contract for him. And beyond that, what would take it to elite is wide receiver Jermaine Burton, who was their third-round pick last year. They knew there were some kind of character issues there. Disaster of a rookie year. But everything this year, he's been in the building when he hasn't had to. He's done everything right. He's been on time for every meeting. They are hopeful that he's kind of grown up and matured this offseason. If he can be the kind of player that last year they're talking about him being a first-round talent taken in the third round, if he can get the mental part and the commitment part settled down, this offense will be really incredibly explosive.
Jay Morrison is our guy up in Cincinnati, BengalsTalk.com, which is a part of Sports Illustrated, and Jay's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL as our AFC North preview continues tonight, focusing on the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's get to Joe Burrow. great year last year. As you mentioned, defense obviously let him down. You haven't heard a lot of complaining, though, from Joe Burrow. You heard a lot of stumping, as you said, for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I think a lot of people in Burrow's position might have been pretty upset at what they did on offense and the fact the defense didn't stop anybody. What is Joe Burrow's mindset heading into 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to improve on the year he had last year. In some regards, I wrote last year, you probably don't want him to, because if this defense is going to be better and this team is going to be better, they're not going to need Joe Burrow to be Superman in the fourth quarter and constantly be driving the length of the field and having all these comebacks. And it's going to be more about protecting leads and running the ball and killing the clock. So I don't know that he's going to improve on the year he had statistically last year, but he's not complained about the defense. He said he had to have been better last year. There's games they could have won where he could have been better, even though they won 5 in a row down the stretch. I think the big thing here with the defense and why there doesn't seem to be this panic is you're starting to hear rumblings last year about there was some discontent with the scheme and Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator who they fired. You kind of being stubborn and not simplifying it until it was too late. And then when he did simplify it, this defense played a lot better. And that was one of the reasons they won 5 in a row down the stretch. So they feel like it was more of a scheme and a connection thing last year as opposed to a personnel thing. They've got a lot of those guys back, and new defensive coordinator Al Golden coming in. There's just a lot of faith from Joe Burrow and the rest of the organization that they can get this defense, not going from worst in the league to best, but with that offense, if this defense can get up and get to middle of the pack, then you're going to see Joe Burrow and this offense really take off and lead this team to a lot more wins this year.
Last offensive question, Jay. You can have the best wide receivers and quarterback on the planet. It doesn't mean anything without a good offensive line. We remember that's probably why the Bengals lost that Super Bowl a couple of years back to the Rams. The Bengals offensive line, from the outside point of view, looked better. How would you assess them heading into the year?
Yeah, there's question marks there. They're set at the tackles. Orlando Brown, left tackle. Amarius Mims, their rookie first-round pick last year, right tackle. Really had a strong debut season, expecting him to take a leap this year. And then Ted Karras, the veteran center. So those 3 positions are great. What happens at guard? Who knows? They went out and signed Lucas Patrick. That was another position where had they got T and Jamar done sooner, they could have. There was a lot of free agent guards available. So they kind of pluck him off. I don't want to say the scrap heap, but way later in free agency, a 1-year cheap deal. They've got Cordell Volson, who started all 3 years, but he got benched toward the end of last year, just does not really develop the way they expected him to. So he's going to be in the mix. And they draft Dylan Fairchild, the first-round pick from Georgia. Or I'm sorry, the third-round pick from Georgia. They are sliding him in right now. They expect him to be the starting tackle at left guard. And then you've got veteran Cody Ford. So it's going to be kind of this Royal Rumble in training camp, maybe even starting in when the OTAs and they get on the field and they can do offense versus defensive stuff this week to really kind of assess who are going to be the best 2 fits at guard to kind of piece this offensive line together. And you have a new offensive line coach in Scott Peters. It wasn't just Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, that took the fall for last year. Offensive line coach Frank Pollock was let go as well.
Love the Royal Rumble reference. It's every man for themselves. There are no friends, only enemies on that bingo offensive line competition. All right, let's go to Trey Hendrickson. Very vocal this offseason, right? It's been kind of a soap opera. I can't imagine what it's been for you up in Cincinnati with that story. Where are we with Trey Hendrickson right now?
Yeah, it's a holding pattern. The ball, the contract sheet, I guess, is in his court. The Bengals have made their offer. He's not happy with it. He's not happy with the amount. He's not happy with the length. I don't see the Bengals moving off of this. It's kind of a take it or leave it situation. He's under contract this year for $15.8 million. Technically, it's a $21 million contract this year, but $6 million of it was part of a signing bonus when he signed the 1-year extension last offseason. So it's hard to imagine him sitting out, but he said he would. He said he is not going to play this season under the current contract. It's easy to say in May. When it gets crunch time and the season's about to start and you're losing checks, we'll see what happens in September. But the Bengals see he's a 30-year-old defensive end. He's going to be 31 in season in the beginning of December. they're just not willing to commit the kind of money it takes to pay a top defensive end in this league right now with Myles Garrett and Max Crosby and all these guys blowing the market out of the water. And they've got all the leverage, and they're using every ounce of it. And I think Trey's just going to have to make a decision on, does he want a raise from 15.8 to 28 million this year, or does he want to play hardball and sit out games? And we'll see. You're right. We have a little meme on our podcast, Trays of Our Lives. It is a definite soap opera this offseason, and it's going to keep playing well into training camp and maybe the regular season.
Final moments, Jay Morrison, BengalsTalk.com. All right, defensively outside of Trey Hendrickson, they've heard the entire offseason how terrible they were last year. I imagine that's quite a bit of motivation for a lot of those guys. Where are we with the defense coming into the year?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a chip. But at the same time, they asked starting safety Geno Stone to take a pay cut. He could have told them to kick rocks, but he didn't. He took the pay cut. He kind of assumed that they were wanting to free up some more money to pay Trey, which hasn't happened yet. But there's guys on this defense that were playing well last year or have played well in the past that got hurt, and that gets overlooked a lot. Dax Hill at cornerback, DJ Turner were both playing the best ball of their lives when they got hurt. Dax was earlier in the season in week 5. DJ was later in week 10. So you've got those two guys coming back as your starting corners. Logan Wilson, the starting linebacker, got hurt last year and missed the last 5 games. So you're getting pieces back that you didn't have last year. They drafted Shamar Stewart in the first round. He hasn't reported yet, or he hasn't signed his contract yet, so he's not doing anything. They drafted a linebacker in the second round. They really went heavy on that defensive side of the ball to give new defense coordinator Al Golden some new pieces. And I think there's some legitimate optimism there that you're going to see a bump from this defense this year. And again, I don't know that they're going to be top 10, but they don't need to be.
The Shamar Stewart thing's weird. I mean, it's a slotting system in the draft. What is his basis for this?
Yeah, it's not about total compensation because you're right. That's all slotted. It's about the guarantees, and they're putting things in his deal that were not in Amarius Mims last year. And it's the language. It makes no sense because you're playing hardball with Trey Hendrickson. You drafted Shamar Stewart to be your succession plan for Trey Hendrickson. Quit jerking around and get this guy in here. Second round pick Demetrius Knight, the linebacker, hasn't signed yet either, but he signed his waiver and he's on the field and participating. You need Shamar Stewart out there. If you're counting on him, even if Trey signs and plays this year, you're counting on Shamar Stewart to be the end opposite him. So they need to just quit haggling over pennies or whatever this contract dispute is. Get him in here and get him on the field and get him ready to go come September 7th.
Jay, final question. In years past, we've had you on, and the AFC North really up in the air, right? You could argue any of the 4 teams. There appears to be some separation based on starting quarterbacks, right? The 2 teams that actually have starting quarterbacks compared to the 2 teams that don't have starting quarterbacks. I mean, is that the way you see it heading into the year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Baltimore and Cincinnati are clearly the class of the division right now. But it's interesting because the teams that don't have quarterbacks with Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they have good rosters. It's just that one glaring hole. So it's kind of the Royal Rumble in Cleveland too with quarterback. Who's going to emerge out of there? And if they can find an answer, find a competent quarterback out of that group, and if Pittsburgh can do the same, if Aaron Rodgers comes riding in to save them, then we're right back where we were the last few years, and this is going to be a wide open division.
Jay Morrison, BengalsTalk.com, which is a part of Sports Illustrated. He's been our guy in Cincinnati for many, many years. Jay, go enjoy OTAs, enjoy the summer. We'll be talking to you pretty early in the year. The Jaguars come up there week number 2 to take on Cincinnati, and we're certainly looking forward to that. Thank you as always, my friend.
Thanks, Ryan.
And thank you to Jay Morrison, BengalsTalk.com, for joining us here tonight on Hacker After Dark as our AFC North preview continues. Last night we were in Pittsburgh, tonight Cincinnati. We will end tomorrow in both Baltimore and Cleveland because we're off on Friday. And look, the AFC North, normally it's anybody's division, although it appears now that some separation has taken place, right, between Baltimore and Cincinnati, on down maybe a little bit to Pittsburgh, and then even farther down to Cleveland. We will see, but there is certainly a discrepancy at the quarterback position, at least right now. You got Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow And then you're down to, I guess, Mason Rudolph and whoever wins the Browns competition. Now, that could change if Aaron Rodgers ultimately ends up in Pittsburgh. But again, what type of player is Aaron Rodgers now? He's a good name. Is he still among the league's best? We'll see if he ultimately does end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But again, thank you to Jay Morrison of Bengals Talk for joining us tonight to recap the Cincinnati Bengals offseason. We certainly spent a lot of time on that. Certainly spent some time on the Jaguars as well as OTAs continue. Talked some Alex Condon returning to the University of Florida basketball program, and a lot more on what has been a very, very busy Wednesday night edition here of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Jay Morrison, Bengals Talk, which is a part of Sports Illustrated. He's our guy up in Cincinnati. Thank you to Dalton Wasserman of PFF for talking a little Jaguars. Dalton's one of the college football guys at PFF as well, so we spent some time on both Florida and Florida State. We had Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, stopping by to talk about Alex Condon's return to the University of Florida basketball team and what that means as they try to defend their national championship. Also talked a little Gator baseball and softball as well. And my buddy Cody Carpentier of Roster Watch